Please help me welcome Angel Castellanos.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So, as mentioned, Angel speaks all over the country in 90 speaking engagements this year, mainly with the Travel Adventure Show all over the country. You were in Dallas last weekend. You're going to be in Denver this weekend?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Where else do you go from there?
So that is the last one in an 8-city tour. So not counting the New York Times, it was 8 cities altogether, yeah.
So I mentioned that you become this kind of go-to expert for travel hacks and tips on packing and technology. And I bring that up because I saw you speak in LA and you kind of blew my mind on the packing thing. And I'm not going to lie, when I pack, sometimes I do the roll, sometimes I just throw my crap in a bag. So I really have to start off with, what's the one mistake that people actually make when they pack?
I think they bring too much, right? I mean, people don't get over the psychological hurdle of packing. And I think, a lot of people don't think about how it affects their mobility or really how that is the least of their worries when it comes to travel. People get really weighed down, they stress out about it, and I think that, man, that's small potatoes compared to the fun people should be having.
So, again, this is what you talk about, but it's just us here. Like, do you really pack that way, or do you kind of like freak out? Do you overpack yourself?
No,
you don't.
I think nobody comes home wishing that they had packed more, right? And there's still some things that I take that I don't use, but I really do. I mean, I practice what I preach.
All right,
sure,
and we're gonna actually raffle off later one of these Eagle Creek packing cubes that will help you if you need or have packing issues. Mom, you and I can talk about our own packing issues later. All right, but also technology. And I wanted to ask, just so you can share with everyone, what's your go-to favorite travel app right now?
The one that I use all the time as my go-to app, probably TripIt. How many of you are using TripIt like on the regular, right?
You got one, so tell us what TripIt is.
So TripIt, well, I saw some people nod their heads, right? How many people use TripIt? So it's an itinerary, it's like a fixer, right? So you forward all of your emails to plans@tripit.com, and what happens is all of those confirmation emails that you get from hotels and car rental agencies and airlines, it's in one nice, neat place. So you open up that particular app, every confirmation number, every date, every 800 number is there, and it just makes the world of a difference. If you're like an OCE planner like I am, then you have all that information in one particular place. And you can also merge it with your calendar, so if you're not doing like Google Trips, for example, you can easily have all of those things start immediately populating in your calendar.
Nice. And I really like something else you said at the Travel Adventure Show. Again, Angel speaks in front of like hundreds of people and give all these tips. But you talked about one thing you do every time you go to a new city is you hire a local guide the first day.
Yeah, I love doing that.
Is that a way so you get to meet someone but also get that insider tip?
Yeah, because you're hiring a friend for the day. So even if you don't.
Okay, there's so many things you're hiring a friend for the day. Okay, I got it.
So if you don't speak the language, or if you're in a completely unfamiliar place, then I think there's no better education that you can get about a city than from a local. Let's say, a master's student who's just trying to earn a couple of extra bucks, like a history major or something like that, and you get a nice little orientation, and you just get the local vibe, and I just love that. And I feel like I'm really contributing to the local economy when I do that. Yeah.
Do you have a resource that you tend to use for finding these local guides? It's not just on Craigslist.
Well, I do a lot of research, so I'll look at Airbnb experiences. That's a good resource now because they have loads of classes and guides that you can hire and activities that you can do. But I'm still an old-fashioned guidebook person, so I'll open up my Lonely Planet or something like that, or Frommer's, and it'll tell me where the tourist information office is. So I will, visit that information office and kind of get a feel for who the guides are, if I need to hire an official guide, because in some countries you have to have an official guide to get into certain places. So I like to do all of that in country and like the day that I'm there. So it's very rare that I'm actually booking a guide ahead of time unless they come super highly recommended, and then I may send an email out saying I'm coming, how much do you charge, and all that good
So
stuff.
you kind of get there, take the temperature, feel your way
Yeah,
around.
like in Marrakesh, I hired him on the street. He looked like he was wearing an official badge guide, and I got a good vibe from him, so why not?
Nice. Before we jump into all your travel, shameless plug for Airbnb experiences. I do an awesome Airbnb experience myself. The bike ride to Baywatch experience. Just FYI, if you're thinking Airbnb experiences, we can talk more.
Now you owe me commission.
There you go. Exactly. Sign up and we'll talk. 60 countries and counting.
Yeah.
The thing that's amazing is you have a lot of solo.
I'm not a country counter, to be honest.
Well, you definitely said 60.
Oh, it's a little over 60, yeah, but I mean, I think if you've been to more than one and you've had quality.
Okay, you've been to more than one.
Yes.
However, what I wanted to say was you have a lot of really interesting solo journey experience.
Yeah.
But I want to start about this first trip that you took with your parents. It was a 3-month epic adventure.
It was the first one.
And your parents were big travelers, so they kind of introduced you to travel.
Yeah.
And where did you go with them on this first kind of journey?
So I had a passport before I could read or write, and I really considered travel to be my life's work. So we packed up the VW bus and drove when I was 13 years old, and we drove to Texas, and then we drove to Mexico City, and we did a bunch of fun things in the Yucatan area, and then we drove to Guatemala, continued on to Honduras, sailed the Caribbean, and did everything completely in reverse. So we were gone for 3 months in this VW bus, and it was, that's when travel really got a hold of me. And, at the time, of course, when, as a 13-year-old kid, there was no way that I was in any way appreciative of this trip. I hugged our tree when we got home. I went kicking and screaming the whole way.
I'm sure.
But,
and now you wish you were doing it with them.
Yeah, but I think, for me, my parents just wanted to take me out of my own element and shake me up a little bit. And it was, the moment when my dad encouraged me to play baseball every single day on the streets of Guatemala with these kids. And then I took my allowance that I got for the week, and I was able to buy every single kid on that block burger, fries, and a Coke. And I just was like blown away that I was able to give so much with what I thought was absolutely insignificant.
Right. Your allowance. That's amazing. You just said the thing with, your dad got you out of your comfort zone. Life begins outside your comfort zone.
Big time.
I want to read a couple things. So, because Angel, I love how organized you are. So you sent me all these amazing travel things about you. I just have to really say this because I said you've done all these incredible solo trips.
Yeah.
So, so you've been on several solo trips. Beijing to London overland, right? 160 hours on a train.
Yep.
Gee, that's crazy. Berlin to Athens overland as well.
Yep.
First solo trip was 2 months long. Berlin to Budapest.
Yeah.
Okay. So these pictures are kind of in the early years of traveling, right?
Yep, definitely.
Where are we?
So this is Tokyo here, trying some different like sweet potatoes and whatnot, and just like a food truck, right? Before food trucks were big, they were in Japan. And that is Borobudur and Prambanan, so those are both in Java, actually. So I crossed Java completely overland from Jakarta all the way to eastern Java, stopped in Grajagan, and then went on to Bali.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I've really gotten a chance to know Angel, I guess almost over the past year. And every time I sit down with you, whether we grab a coffee or go to lunch, I'm always blown away by just not only just your passion for travel, but your knowledge. You always make me go home and like look things up. I'm like, what was he talking about in this place? I'm like,
Because I'm a travel nerd, that's why.
But I love that, and I've seen the passion that you've put into the stuff and all these places that you've been. I like to not count the countries that I've been also or talk about it, but I love hearing stories from people like yourself. So I want to ask you, what does travel mean to you?
I think it means being present. For me, that's when all of my senses are just firing on all cylinders. And, when you travel, no 2 days are really the same. And, I feel like you're just completely alive and free at the same time. Travel is a perfect opportunity to laugh in other languages.
Wait, say that one again. Travel is a perfect opportunity to laugh in other languages.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be on my Instagram sometime in the next week. I will give you credit, but that was pretty good. Have you said that one before?
No,
Then I'm
no,
taking credit
not
next
at all.
time. Anyway, that was really awesome.
or share feelings with people you just met.
Yeah,
right?
I've heard somebody say like smile in other languages, but laugh in other languages. I'm still going to steal that. I mean, not
laughter is the universal language, right?
There you go. Well said. Well, when we met last year, you were getting ready to leave on pretty much an epic adventure. So I wanted to ask you, and I do with everyone, what is that travel with meaning moment? Right? What's that thing that's really left you moved, touched, and inspired? What's that like sticky thing that's happened to you?
On that last trip?
Well, I want to see if there's something before we get to this last trip that we're going to
okay.
show a picture of. I want to see if there's something else that comes to you first.
Yeah, I think the amount of hospitality I've been shown in different cultures and by different people, just in almost everyday interactions, like first day in Marrakesh in the Jemaa el-Fna markets, and that's a zoo of humanity where you see loads of people and lots going on, and snake charmers and fire breathers and all this sort of stuff. There is a food market there, and we decided to get some food in the markets, and this one dude would not allow us to pay for our meal, and we were just having like some $3 soup or something like that. This one guy would not allow us to pay for our meal because he insisted that as a Muslim he had to show me hospitality.
Wow.
And I didn't know him from Adam. He wasn't even Moroccan, but he was just there on holiday with his own family, and I thought that was just so incredible. He was wearing a Lakers shirt though. So.
Is that how you bonded with him initially?
Yeah, I say,
Really? Yeah, I do that too. Every time I see somebody, I feel like that always allows me to spark conversation.
So I think it's those moments where you really, kind of can connect with people and experience those things that you just would likely never happen to you here in this country.
Well said.
Yeah.
So let's move into this epic adventure.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's show this quick little bit. We'll set it up. So last year you went to Mongolia.
Yeah.
But set up where you went and have the whole
So I
experience.
started in Beijing. So I flew LA to Beijing, got over jet lag, saw the major things in Beijing, Forbidden Palace and hiked the Great Wall and did all that stuff. And then I jumped on a 27-hour train from Beijing to Ulaanbaatar. And there was...
You love trains.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I like slow travel. I was really inspired by the slow food movement. And I just really, the more I traveled, the more I wanted to slow down. Like you practice yoga, so there's a lot of grounding and all of that good stuff. So I think the slower you travel, the more grounded you are, and to really see that expansive humanity, and to see the ground and to see the changing landscape was pretty incredible. So, we left Beijing at 2:48 in the morning, and then we arrived the next day in Ulaanbaatar. So I woke up, the first thing I saw of Mongolia was the Gobi Desert, and spent about a day in Ulaanbaatar because it's an absolute shit town. And so it's a mix match of like Soviet architecture and modern architecture, and every old Prius goes to die there. It's just not a place where you really want to spend any meaningful time in. So my outfitter picked me up in Mongolia, and then we set off on this part of the journey.
So let's watch this quick little video because it is pretty epic, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Mongolia and a few other little travel things. All right, this is your epic journey in Mongolia. Oh, I miss you. that yourself.
Yeah. I forgot to mention the border crossing.
You had a border crossing as well?
Yeah, so at the Chinese and Mongolian border crossing, what happens is they need to lift up each train car because the train tracks are different width in Mongolia. So the Chinese, passport guys get on, they march on, and they stamp your passport and everything, and then each car is lifted onto, and the bogies are changed. So the bogies, that's what goes underneath the cars, right? That's where like the train wheels are. And then the Mongolian guards get on very casually in their fatigues. And so you don't really get to bed until like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then you reach the border like close to midnight.
Nice. By the way, I have to point this out. This picture right here, this is my new screensaver. This is amazing. This picture says it all. Like honestly, like I kept going, that is just, I want to go to Mongolia just for that picture. That is awesome.
So my guide's mom actually made that riding coat. My guide,
That's traditional riding coat.
It's a traditional Mongolian riding coat, and Hishke's mom made that. So I'm wearing like 50,000 layers underneath it because it was pretty chilly. But no, that coat was phenomenal.
Amazing. Mom, you want to go to Mongolia, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, this inspire you?
It would be good on you.
Yeah. Me and you go.
It looks great on you.
I agree. So this trip to Mongolia, is this something you put together?
Yeah. So I had always wanted to travel from London to Singapore via train, and it's possible to do that except for one little part in Cambodia. And I thought, well, I no longer really have time to do that one, so why don't I do London to Beijing? And it turned out that I had to flip the trip because of weather. So I left the last week in September and came back. I left in the middle of September, came back just before November.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we mentioned before, you have all these amazing speaking engagements coming up, Travel Adventure Show. Where else can people find you coming up? And most importantly, besides Denver coming up this weekend, what's next? What's the travels for you?
Okay, so my website is angelstravellounge.com, and on Instagram I'm angels_travels. And in April, I'm giving a talk here in the LA area at the Adventure 16 store. So if you know those stores. And what's next in terms of travel?
Yeah.
The Philippines in May. Going to the Seychelles in June, so lots of islands.
But you love doing islands, but you're not much of a diver or anything. You just like being there.
Yeah, it's just fun.
You love the islands.
And
and I said before, like, how can you not love this guy's content, right? He's just like fun. You exude like authentic joy of travel. So it really comes across in your content. It's not just some social influencer out there shooting stuff. It's real. Okay, Seychelles. I kept interrupting.
Seychelles in June, and then I'll be based in Europe for about 5 weeks in the fall, doing some different projects there. So.
And can we come visit you?
Please,
All right.
come to Umbria, which is my favorite region in Italy. Yeah.
Awesome, but I think you really bring a lot to this industry, and I think you have, to say like a huge future, whether it's the Rick Steves or the Peter Goldbergs or one of those people. You love this industry, and you're really so knowledgeable. And thank you for sharing with us and educating us and giving us some packing tips. And hopefully, we all learn some stuff, and we can all go to Mongolia now.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.